Hello, everyone. Okay, we are kicking off Black History Month in an epic way. Uh, if you have ever seen this show, you have definitely seen this person. She needs no introduction. One person I've known longer than I haven't. I'll just leave it at that.
That is
My
true.
line sister, my bestie, my blog FF, my BFF, my N4L.
FOTL and for
Yes,
all the
all
acronyms.
of that. Mother, wife, diversity, award winning diversity consultant, the founder of Buzzaroonie LLC, an HR dynamo. If you don't know who the Buzz on HR is, get into it. Welcome, Miss Sir.
Hello, everyone in the trap. Glad to be back.
Yeah,
It's been a while though. I
it
feel like it's
has.
been
So,
it might be almost a year.
yeah, Women's History Month,
I
maybe.
think so. It's been a
Yeah.
while. Hmm.
Okay. Well, today, like I said, is a special Black History Month kickoff. I'm excited because we are going to be talking about Black Blogs Matter. I had to wear my merch.
I'm wearing my merch too.
I
Um,
know that's right. You
I brought
regular
my trap
Black.
chat. Yes, I brought my trap chat merch. My merch from
Yes,
the chat.
yes, yes, yes. So, for those who don't know, can you please provide an overview of the Black Blogs Matter Challenge and just let us know, what it is, and then we'll kick it off from there.
Okay, so Black Blogs Matter or Black Pods Matter, depending on whether your focal area is podcasting or writing, is a challenge that is centered on the Black experience, primarily in the workplace, whatever your workplace may be. You do not have to be Black. To participate in the challenge, but you do have to be able to speak intelligently about the Black experience and Blackness. And so, if that is not something that you are adept at, then the best way for you to support is to listen and to amplify.
Okay, thank you. So, like I said, this whole episode is dedicated to Black Blogs Matter. So, if you feel like she didn't say enough, I don't still know what it is, we're going to get into it.
We're going to get into it.
We're
Yeah.
going to get into it. So, let's start at the beginning. What inspired you to create this challenge? I believe it was 2017.
Yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was 2017. So, in 2016 was a really hard year for me.
Mm.
I lost 9 family members in 12
Wow.
months, including my father, my grandfather, and one of my uncles and one of my very close cousins, like more like a brother than a cousin, all passing away within months of each other. And I was just at a low, and was not able to create. And in talking to my support system, it was actually Janine Truitt. Shout out to Janine, our one of our blog FFs, who talked to me about a writing challenge that she had done. And she shared with me the one that she had done, and I went online and looked at a couple of others, and they just were not giving me what I needed to break through and start writing again, because at that point I was only writing. I wasn't podcasting, wasn't doing much in terms of appearances, video, things like that. And so I decided to create my own challenge. And for the 28 days of February 2017, I wrote every day on a topic, everything from working while Black, being first and only, team light skin, team dark skin, Black mamas be like, we love Black fathers. Like, I went through the complete gamut of topics, and it finally broke loose that creative voice that I had been missing because I was so deep in grief. And also, it let me break loose and say some things that I probably would not have said in the normal course of my writing, if I had not challenged myself with this challenge. And it opened doors for me that I really was not expecting in terms of opportunity. It wasn't long after that I got noticed by Black Enterprise and started first was interviewed and then became a writer for them. After that came Fast Company, being quoted on CNN. Like that all came as a result of the work that I was doing with Black Blogs Matter. That was how people were finding me. And it launched me more specifically into the DEI space and really forced me to educate myself very quickly on how to go about having impact from a DEI perspective inside of organizations. And so then 2018 came around and it's like, okay, what are we doing now? Like people were excited about it. Are you bringing it back? It felt weird to write the same 28 topics all over again. So I added instead a microblog challenge, which most people are more familiar with, where it's like you're posting a quote from your favorite Black athlete, your favorite educator, your favorite
We did artists, and there was one for technology. Like we had a good time.
We had a good time. And I learned things about people in different genres and industries that I did not know about, before. So I was able to go down some rabbit holes rather than picking my usual folks. I was like, no, let me do something new. Let me challenge myself within this challenge and continue to write as well. And then in 2019, I decided to do a season. Kirsten, you know this, but I Black History season for me starts at about MLK Day. And then it goes all the way through to the end of March with Women's History Month. I just be focused on Black women during that time. And so I was like, all right, well, we're going to do a weekly challenge for those, I think it was 10 weeks of Black History season. And so I was resharing the original content. I was still doing a new set of the microblog challenge. And then I was doing the weekly writing for Black History season in 2019. And at the end of that, I was like, yeah, I think I said all I have to say. So when February 2020 came around, I really did not intend to do it. But I was getting a lot of push from folks who had been participating, like, no, we still need this. And I was like, all right, listen, we're going to do this one last time. I'm going to do the 4 weeks of Black History Month, and then that's it. And what's unbelievable, right before that started, Kobe Bryant passed away. And then we were just in the rumblings of COVID. And Donald Trump was in the middle of his first term, and things there were just like George Floyd was still alive. Like it was such a different time. And right after it ended, the world kind of turned on its side. And for me, from a creative perspective, at that point, I was really focused on my podcast, Leading in Color. And so I used that as my platform to discuss those issues more so than writing. And that's what I'll be doing for this challenge as well, because I find myself after a tumultuous 2024 being back in that same space of not really knowing what I want to create, how I want to create, and needing to shake myself loose of that. And I said, with everything going on in the world right now, particularly with this change in administration and what's happening in the US government, it felt like the right time to do the challenge again. And so, I reached out to you, reached out to Tiffany, reached out to Janine, like I always do, and said, okay, I think I'm gonna bring this challenge back. What y'all think about these topics? And here we are.
So I do want to stay there just for a bit without you giving too much away, because people do need to check out the calendar. I'm going to talk about a few of them, but I do want to think about the changes that took place between 2017 and where we are now.
Mm.
And you mentioned how you evolved the challenge, how you added things, maybe took things away, and even more clearly focused attention on certain areas. What conversations about Black experience do you feel are still not happening openly enough in professional spaces? And then why do you think that silence continues to persist?
So I don't think that there are very many conversations that still aren't happening among ourselves as Black people. We talking, we stay talking. We as a talking people, we talk, right? We talk to each other inside of work. We talk to our professional friends, our family members about our workplace experiences, our lived experiences outside of work. What's not happening is that our leaders, within our organizations, within our government, within power majorities, they're still not listening. And where they're listening, they're not taking action based on the things that we're saying. They're making promises. We saw a lot of that 2020, end of 2020, 2021, 2022, all these organizations making these pledges for DEI. Suddenly, the HBCUs were the hotness. Everything was we have to bring equity. We have to take care. I mean, they were kneeling in the rotunda. Like, it was just out of control. And fast forward 3, 4, 5 years later, there was no follow through in many of the cases on the commitments that were made. And now here we are watching organization after organization roll back the commitments that they made that they didn't live up to in the first place. Like, oh, we said we were going to do this, we didn't do this, and now we're telling you that we're not going to do it at all. We're abandoning this effort. Or we started to do this, we put funding behind it. People have become dependent on that funding, but it's like, we're going to take that funding back and funnel it into something else. So they're still not listening. They're still not taking action. They're still not the follow through. And what I believe we're accepting and seeing as, dare I say, confirmation. And I think some of us were always aware of this and just waiting for the other shoe to drop, but many of us weren't. Like, so there were some people who were really bought in, of all races, creeds, and colors, is that this is exactly how it was meant to be. Yep. This is how it was built to be. And so that they're not listening is not accidental. That they're not acting is not accidental. That they're not following through on those commitments is not accidental. It was never designed to work. It was a placating moment, some white guilt perhaps happening in there of feeling badly for what was going on in the world and trying to be the savior in like that moment. Feeling the pressure of like, I have to do this, right,
feeling like I have to feel bad, so let
me make this, that, or the other commitment. And now that we're seeing this change in administration and this shift at the governmental levels away from DEI commitment, it's like, sigh of relief. I can go back to who I always wanted, who I was, and who I really would prefer to be, because I don't want to have to actively deal with these things. And I think that's what we're seeing happen now. And what we as a people, those of us in the margins, Black people and everybody else who gets pushed into the margins, bless you, is we have to continue to use our voices on the platforms that we dominate to speak out against that and to seize this opportunity to take our side, take our stance, and build our communities and take our own action from there.
Okay, so you kind of answered my next question in that, but so I'm going to switch it up a bit because the challenge starts on the 3rd, and the topic is Black Voices Still, all caps, STILL, still matter. And you just listed a plethora of challenges that Black voices continue to face in gaining visibility and, you know, being able to feel safe, being authentic, using their voices. How do we continue to show up, given like all of the things you just mentioned, and still be ourselves, be authentic, and be heard across different industries and platforms, and not get drowned out by the stuff that makes people feel comfortable and makes people feel okay to discuss that part, but not this part? Because we've all faced that. We've all gotten those. Not
like,
that.
ooh, we're not going to talk about that. Yeah.
Right.
So the first thing is with Black Blogs Matter, I have zero expectation for anyone who looks at this calendar and has strong thought and wants to participate, because it's not just for me, it's for anyone. But I have no expectation that anyone is going to write all 21 topics, because I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the 4 weeks. So I don't have an expectation that everybody is going to write all the things, right? But so if it's something that you're not aware about, that you don't feel, again, that you can speak intelligently about, that you don't that you're not particularly interested in, like, it's first, like, recognize that it's okay to not say anything, to listen, to amplify, to learn, but to not speak. And I think we have to learn that as a collective, that sometimes it's okay, that saying nothing because you have nothing to say is an okay option. This thought that because we are thought leaders, or we are, social media personalities, that we have to lead every thought and have an opinion and post about everything, I reject that for myself, and I encourage other people to reject that for themselves. Like, you do not have to have a thought and opinion about everything. So I'm coming into this not with expectation, but just expectancy that people are going to resonate with the content. They will contribute where they feel led to do so, and where they don't, they will listen and they will amplify. The other thing is, when it comes to like the comfortability of the topics, these topics are uncomfortable, and they're more uncomfortable for the people in majority power positions, our white, male, cis, hetero, traditionally educated, wealthy, like all those privileged categories. It's more uncomfortable for those groups, because typically those of us who hold a lot of majority power identity, we don't talk about this stuff because we don't have to. We don't have to be worried about what it's like to move through the world as a Black person, as a woman, as a transgender person, as a member of the LGBTQ plus community. We don't have to worry about those things. So we're not thinking about it. And when other people talk about it, it makes us uncomfortable, because in our privileged minds, you are just a man with a vagina. Like, there really is no difference, right? Like, we're all just people. What do you mean that your experience is somehow unique? It just doesn't even occur. Like, you just have more melanin, but your life experiences aren't different than mine. We all bleed, like, no. yes, we do. And some of us have bled and died more for this country than others. And that
Amen.
is that has to be taken into account. And so we have to recognize that discomfort is okay. Nobody has ever died from some moments of discomfort, from a single uncomfortable conversation or a series
Mm-mm.
of uncomfortable conversations. You will recover. Who's not recovering? The rest of us. The
Right.
rest of us who are microaggressed daily and have to deal with our nervous systems not being regulated because we never have the opportunity to let our armor down, because we have to, every time we turn on our television, open our phones, walk outside of our houses, we are braced for the onslaught of foolishness that's getting ready to come our way. And it happens, and this was the Microaggression Society's research study from 2021. It happens to those of us with marginalized identities 10 times a day, every day.
Wow.
10 times a day, every day, from when you looking at your phone, when you watching your TV, when you are going about whatever you're doing. You're
Getting
at
your
work.
coffee,
You're
getting
getting your coffee, you're at the grocery store, you're picking up your prescription, you're getting gas, like whatever it is, you're picking up your takeout, whatever it is that you're doing 10 times during at least on average. So some people are getting more on average, 10 times a day, every single day. We are encountering something, right?
Yeah.
And every one of those things sticks with us. We never have a chance to experience the one thing, whew, okay, and then go on, because the next thing is coming. So we are always braced, right? And
Yeah.
for the people who hold more privilege, they don't have to worry about that. So they're not prepared to sit in that discomfort. They don't know what that feels like. And for them, it feels like an onslaught to have to do that 3 times a week for a whole month. Are you kidding me? Like, no way. But yes way. Like that is the way, right?
Yeah.
And for those of us that are talking about it, like, we have to give the practical terms in order to get there. And at the end of the day, like, authenticity is really about the courage to be yourself. And sometimes yourself is polarizing. These are polarizing times. These are not neutral times. There are so many quotes that talk about, neutrality being a tool of the oppressor. So the people right now who are out here trying to roll back our rights and drag us back to a past where those of us with highly marginalized identities were in physical danger. Like, we're not talking about microaggression, we're talking about macroaggression, like death, could come to us for behaving in certain ways, showing up in certain ways. The people who want to take us all back to those times want our silence, because our silence allows their power to grow. And so we can't be silent. We have to take a side. And we have to know, to quote Hamilton, like, history has its eyes on us. And someday, like, I think about a lot, like, someday I'm going to have grandchildren. I hope that I'm around to see my great grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
The way my daughter is 17, she's about to graduate high school, and she did a project for her African American Studies class last semester, where she had to learn about the civil rights movement. And she sat down and she interviewed my mom, who was there.
Wow.
And she don't drive, so I had to take her. So I'm in the interview too, and I'm listening, and I'm like, I knew my mom was there, but she was asking things that I had never asked, and I'm like, oh, I'm learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someday my great grandkids are going to ask me, what was I doing during George Floyd? What was I doing during Trump 2.0? And I'm going to have to answer for that. And I want to make sure that my answers put me on the right side of history and not on the side of history that's trying to ban books because they don't want my grandkids to see my pictures in them.
Oh, I was like, what? You don't want your grandkids to see your pictures?
Yeah, you know.
No. My brain
Shout
didn't.
out, yeah,
My
shout
brain
out
hadn't
to
caught up with what you said. I was
yeah,
like, what?
the Jerry Joneses of the world who
Ooh.
don't want, who in the book screaming at black children trying to go to school.
Shout
And
out to them.
let's get that book banned in Texas. All of
Mhm.
Texas can't have the book because heaven forbid they be like, ain't that Jerry Jones? It's him. Yeah, that though I don't want that scenario to play out in my life.
I don't want that for you either. And I think the chances of that happening are very slim.
Very slim. They're gonna be like, is that your grandma out there acting up? Like, yes, that was her. Is that she wrote this? She did. Yes, she did. She said it.
Well, they are going to say, your grandma.
Yes.
Your grandma caused the ruckus, and that's
She
my next
did.
question. That's my next question about this ruckus that you're causing with this calendar, or the potential ruckus. It's going to come because it comes every year. We're just going to be honest about that. The calendar includes, this year's calendar includes topics like the war on workplace inclusion, very timely, white privilege monitor, love that, and the 92% versus everybody. These are just a few of the highlights, some of my favorites. How can participants approach these sensitive topics and, refrain from, or maybe not, how should they approach these topics in a way that is constructive and invites dialogue, I should say?
Yeah, I think that we have to get away from being super sensitive and unwilling to address difficult topics simply because they're difficult. Because guess what? The other side has no fear, right? Like the president of our country stood on a podium as we are recording this. We are coming off of the plane crash and the plane and helicopter crash in DC, and blamed DEI and the hiring of disabled and neurodivergent individuals, allegedly by the Biden administration, as the reason for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't feel uncomfortable whatsoever parting his lips in the press room of the White House to say those words. So we cannot feel uncomfortable in our conference rooms, in our Zooms, having the conversations about the other side. Okay. And this whole, we can't polite ourselves to liberation. No. We can't polite ourselves out of the fascism that is trying to seep its way. It's not trying, it is seeping its way into our country. We can't politely ask it to stop and delicately talk about how we don't go down this road. We have to be vocal and intentional, and we have to recognize that it's not just going to be a one and done conversation.
Right.
It's so when I created this calendar, these topics are evergreen. If you go to my blog or you go online and you click Black Blogs Matter and you look at some of the old content written 2017, 2018, 2019, it's just as relevant now as it was then. So the content is evergreen. I look forward to the day when someone tramples on this hashtag and is like, wow, y'all was really talking about this? Like, wow, this is a thing? Like, I look forward to that day. I want to see that day in my lifetime. But what I wish would go away was would be people finding my post about the N-word and arguing with me about how it should be for everybody. That
Kash Patel just said it today in his hearing.
Yeah, if one person can't, if white people can't say it, nobody can say it. Or if only Black people can say it, then no one should be able to say it. And it's like, all right, then. Y'all go ahead.
All right, then.
Try that if you want to.
Great segue to my next question, which I'm going to change again. Listen, you are a pro at this. You are not only you're a podcaster yourself. You interview people all of the time.
I know. We go where the conversation
you pivot all
us.
the time, and you know me all this time. You knew I was going to
hit the kickball change and switch it up. It's okay. I'm here.
Exactly. Okay. So, intersection of social media activism and Black creative expression has evolved over the course of however long we've been doing this. How do you see Black Blogs Matter Challenge continue to contribute to that and amplify not only your voice, but others?
Yeah, I still, like, I think we're still very early in this current fight, right, that we're in, the pushback against the rollbacks. And I still believe we're finding our footing in what our exact combat, our exact clapback, our exact way of going about stopping this is going to be. But I also believe, so I think it's important, like, in this moment to just like get it out, right? Like, get the thoughts out there, and some things are going to not work very well, and other things are going to resonate and take hold and be something that people can grab hold of. And some of those conversations are going to happen online and lead to conversations that happen offline and actions that happen offline. And I think that's important. I've always said that social media is the great equalizer. I think part of the reason why there's so much work to control our social media. We went through the whole ban of TikTok thing right at the beginning of the year, a couple weeks ago. Gosh, January has been very long. January the 723rd. So we saw that, and then we saw it come back, and people already are saying, yeah, it doesn't work like it worked before. Like, something in the algorithm has changed. We're seeing similar things. We've always heard those things about Facebook. We're seeing similar things on Instagram. Even LinkedIn sometimes is getting accused.
I get shadow banned all the time.
I was about to say, shadow banning is real, right? And it's the algorithm's way of censoring. Mm-hmm. However, we still can utilize our voices in these platforms to make things move. I always go back to VH1 and the Sorority Sisters show.
Ooh,
that was huge. What was that? 2017, 2018. That was huge when VH1 put that show out, and
we got it taken down in like
less than like a month. Like, it was, they got like 2 episodes, and the Black sororities were like, nah. And not only, but that came about through social media.
Right.
There was almost like a captain who was like, okay, and today we are all going to call VH1 and say this, and tomorrow we're going to target their sponsors. So everybody at Pepsi and say this, and they're seeing the massive amounts of tweets, the calls, all those things that are coming in, and they're like, oh snap, like, we gotta do something about this. This is a problem. And I always jokingly talk, I love General Hospital. I've been a fan. That's my story.
Yes,
I've been watching my story since the 80s. I remember when they were planning to kill off one of the characters, and her fan group, which I am a part of, shout out to Becky Nation, got a hold of it. And again, it was going on Twitter and Facebook at the time and saying, okay, today we're calling the network and we're going to say all the reasons why we love this character, that and all the times that this character did that. And so the sharing is very intentional, and the network is seeing like, oh snap, this is like several hundreds of thousands of people that are calling, that are writing, that are tweeting us. We need to rethink this, right? And that type of stuff makes a difference. So what I hope to see when it comes to social media and how it's going to influence what's coming down the pike, and what I hope to see Black Blogs Matter have some like some footnote within, is that intentional organizing, and that intentional activity around the things that we want to have happen. I remember there are several times where I can remember people sending out tweets about calling your senators because they're voting on this, that. Those things have impact. And so being able to use platforms to do things like that, I think is going to be really important. And I'd also like to see us continue to put pressure on the platforms around the algorithms so that it is less insidious the way that they promote things, and that the censorship of shadow banning and stuff like that happens less. And there are times, as I say it out loud, I'm like, that sounds so lofty, but I do. That's the part I hope to see social media play in this. It's not going away. There's going to be more platforms coming. It's not going away. It's a part of who we are and how we live now. And so I hope to see it be just as much a part of the movement as any other thing of its time. Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of our conversation. I have like one more question and then one like non kind of question. So what do you hope listeners and readers take away from this year's challenge? And then how do you think daily blog prompts and challenges like Black Blogs Matter help create sustained conversations beyond designated heritage months like Black History Month?
So for me, writing challenges are just a way to shake loose your creativity through focus, right? Because if I tell you to sit down and write something, or I tell you to sit down and draw something, you can go blank, right? You can have lots of ideas and you can't pick the one that you think is the best place to start. But if I tell you to write about why Black voices matter, or talk about why Black voices matter, or to talk about why moving in silence is important in moments like this, or I want you to talk about why white privilege is fragile, right? If I give you a pointed thing to do, then it gives you a place to start. And it focuses the calendar that I've developed for this year, I believe, focuses what I would call our collective outrage into something useful and creative. And my hope is that that will begin to create momentum that will continue our discussions, that will open up people to new learning, and will get us to stop waiting to take action and to move into action. Create your community of people and take the actions that you need to take. And I sure hope that we can edit this thing, because somehow Kirsten just dropped out of this recording. So hopefully we can edit that part out, and we can bring her back. So yeah, And in these last few minutes, I know she had mentioned for me to be prepared to tell people how to get in touch with me. So I will say the best thing to do in getting in touch with me is through my blog, The Buzz on HR, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn at Sarah K, Kaye, Sarah K Morgan, or you can connect with me through my website, buzzaruniellc.com, which will lead you to all of the other things. So I want to thank Kirsten for having me here, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening. And I hope that you will participate a little bit in the Black Blogs Matter Challenge, even if you just want to write a quick post on LinkedIn or in your Instagram story, a thread, a Twitter thread, a Threads thread, a Facebook post. Get your voice out. Get that energy out, because we're all feeling the difficulty of this moment. So get that out there, and use those calendar prompts to set free some of that negative emotion that we know that we're all carrying. And I wish you a wonderful Black History Month and a wonderful rest of 2025. And look, Kirsten is back.
I don't know what happened.
Listen, I was just talking to the people. I was like, this thing. It said it's still. I have no idea. You froze while I was talking, so I just kept talking because I was like,
"Oh, well, my lap, like everything cut off, like not the electricity. Maybe my MacBook got too hot. I don't know, but everything shut down, and I was like, I beg your pardon."
Well, listen.
But thank you for ending the show.
I did. I gave the benediction and everything, because I was like, I don't know if this can be edited, so I'm just gonna keep talking. But I saw you freeze, and I was like, oh, she's frozen. So then I was like, oh, well, I'm just gonna keep talking until she unfreezes, and then you disappeared. And so I was like, well, let me just wrap this up. Yes, so you'll get to see it.
Well, thank you. I get to see it and hear what you had to say about the end of that question. I was enjoying your answer. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Sarah, for being part of the conversation and for restarting Black Blogs Matter and Black Pods Matter. I am looking forward to this year's challenge. I encourage all of you to please check the hashtag Black Blogs Matter, not only for current information, but for past information as well. Even if you don't participate, share, amplify. It doesn't take but a second for you to hit repost. I use the right word, or not retweet anymore, but whatever you do. And please do that. Please also come back and check out the Black History Month series on Trap Chat, Trailblazing Footprints, Writing Black History Today. And here we are with someone who is writing Black History today. Thank you, Miss Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.